In today's world, the personalist perspective is very important because we put a lot of emphasis on self-expression, individual autonomy, self-realization, self-actualization, and these things are good if put in the proper context. And the personalists, they know that this is something that we should be focusing on.
My claim is that what it is to be a human being changes with time and culture. That this actually also brings about a change in what it is to be a human being, certainly in what we understand as the experience of being a self, a person, an agent, a human among others.
Charles Taylor, who is a prominent Canadian philosopher, he wrote an entire book called Sources of the Self, where he traced our understanding of the self starting all the way from the ancients until our today's modern time. And he says that long time ago, we identified ourselves through more communal or group associations. For example, you identified yourself with what family you came from, what tribe you were a part of, what country, what religion. And nowadays, it's completely different. So let's say in the medieval times, you were born a cobbler's son. Well, your future was pretty much determined for you. You were going to be a cobbler. There are even things like arranged marriages, so you weren't even the one to choose your spouse. Nowadays, you have complete autonomy to choose what you want to do with your life, to choose who you want to marry, and this is an important part of who we are, to be able to make these choices. And so I think that the personalists see a large amount of respect for human selfhood and the person's ability to choose and determine oneself. There are risks associated with the current perspective of the self. If we put too much emphasis on our individuality, on our autonomy, on our selfish needs, I want, I need, I want this, then we lose sight of the value love and relationships have in our life. Personalism actually has two pillars: selfhood, or your interior life, your subjectivity, and relationality. Both pillars are crucial to your human flourishing. In order for your selfhood to develop and to flourish, it needs relationships with other people. People reveal us to ourselves. We are dependent on them to understand who we are. Also, John Paul II sheds a lot of light on what it means to love another and how that allows us to find our true self. Throughout all his writings, many times he's quoted the church document Gaudium et Spes and has said, "Man does not find himself unless he makes a sincere gift of himself." So why does John Paul II say this? Well, I think if we draw back from another writing he has in Love and Responsibility, he says that love, more than anything else, perfects the existence of the person. Rather than impoverishing or diminishing our lives, loving another enriches and expands our lives. French philosopher Gabriel Marcel also has a very interesting look at the way living towards and with others helps expand our existence. He has this beautiful saying throughout his philosophy. In French, it's disponible. In English, there isn't a perfect translation, but Marcel in his writing says, let's say the perfect translation he can find is availability. So he talks about living in a stance where you're sort of turned towards the other and you're available for them. You can give of your resources. Your attention is not just on yourself, but your attention is turned towards other people. He says this act of availability towards others, it literally expands who you are and it makes your world bigger because you're living within a communion of persons as opposed to being completely isolated by yourself. On the other side, if you live in what he says in an egocentric existence where it's just you and you're isolated, he says you literally shrink your existence. So personalists understand this absolute necessary connection and relationship between developing one's selfhood and living for other people and engaging in loving relationships.